We all know that having healthy self-esteem is vital for having a happy and productive life. Good self-esteem and self-image will help you to take more positive actions in life, aim higher, do more, and feel better about yourself. But how can we help our children and raise their self-esteem? In this video, I want to share a few tips that will help you help your children become more self-confident and competent. So let's get started. There are many things we can do to help improve our kids' self-esteem. I'm going to talk about a few of these, and I'm guessing they are not going to be what you think. Most people think of praise as a way to increase self-esteem, but this really doesn't work. If it was just about praise, all the celebrities would have amazing self-esteem, and they don't. Let's talk about some things that really do increase self-esteem. Number one, don't solve your kids' problems for them. As parents, we're naturally inclined to want to protect our kids from pain, and that's generally a good thing. However, sometimes this leads us to try and solve their problems for them, which is not a good thing. Disappointment and suffering are a natural part of life, and we cannot shield our kids from all of it, nor should we. If we do, then we leave them woefully unprepared to cope with life after leaving our homes, if they ever leave our homes at all. Instead, we need to allow our kids to come up with solutions to their own problems. We do this by listening to them, asking questions, and being empathic to their situation. We can be there for them as they go through hard things, and as we genuinely listen to them without trying to tell them what to do, without trying to fix it for them. But they feel listened to and cared about, and then they will often come up with their own solutions. That makes our kids feel empowered. It makes them feel motivated to implement the solution. It makes them feel capable. Listening in this way also gives us subtle opportunities to offer suggestions and ask them what they think. You know, the ironic thing about this is that we have more influence with our kids when we aren't trying to tell them what to do than if we are trying to tell them what to do. And the truth is, they don't really want our answers anyways. They want the answers to be their own. Self-esteem is increased when our kids own their solutions to their problems. Sometimes there aren't easy solutions, but self-esteem is increased just by our being there in this way for our kids during their times of struggle, but not taking away the struggle, which we really can't do anyways. I'll tell you a true story. One of my daughters went through some really painful, I would say even traumatic experiences during her last year of high school. She played on an athletic team that had some very difficult dynamics, and her greatest weakness was her mental toughness. She would just fall apart under the pressure, and then she would get bullied by her teammates. And what she went through that year was very painful, and it was painful for us as parents too to sort of experience this with her. But she did go through it, and she did work on this weakness of her mental toughness. I was just telling her the other day, I was commenting to her that I can't believe how different she is now with her mental toughness. It's just been a little bit more than a year later. And her response to me was profound. She said, "Dad, I've learned that you can't become tougher without going through toughening experiences." I loved hearing that. I think because of this struggle that she had, she went from mental toughness being an absolute weakness to now it's actually one of her greatest strengths as an athlete. And she'll tell you that it was because of all the difficult things she faced the year prior and all the work that she put into improving herself in this area. So my point is that we have to allow our kids to suffer and grow from their experiences, because this is the laboratory where resilience and self-esteem is cultivated. Number two, don't do things for your kids that they can and should be doing for themselves. Doing hard things is one of the great ways that we develop self-esteem. Just for you, think of the last time you completed or did something difficult and how you felt about yourself afterwards. Kids can develop feelings of being capable and empowered as they're required to do things for themselves in age-appropriate ways, even small things. For example, our son recently learned to drive, and he was getting really close to the end of his driver's ed class and close to his birthday, and he wanted to get his license. And I noticed how my wife Valerie responded when he asked her to take him to get his license. She told him it would most likely require an appointment that he would have to schedule online. In addition, he would have to complete some documents, and she told him that he would need to get online, get the schedule done, and then let her know when the documents were completed. Well, he was really surprised at first because I think he thought she was just going to do this for him. But her feeling is if he's old enough to drive, then he's old enough to go through the process of getting a license and all the bureaucracy that goes along with that. Now, I will say that my son isn't particularly good at doing things online. This was actually a semi-difficult thing for him to do. But I could actually see his confidence grow as he did this for himself. Now, the same is true for homework. When parents do homework for their kids, which I have seen so many times, or if they do any kind of task that the kids should be doing, it really takes away a powerful source of self-esteem for these kids. When kids learn to cope with things that are hard, instead of avoiding them, they're developing a strong sense of satisfaction and self-esteem that comes from their own internal thoughts and feelings. This cannot be duplicated by any outward praise or validation. The same is true with work. Kids who work hard at their jobs will gain more than just spending money. They gain a sense of self-esteem and a sense of competence. I'm going to talk more about that in my course. Before we move on to the next points, I want to thank you for watching this video. Are you ever struggling to communicate with your kids or to discipline them effectively? You know, none of us are given a manual when our kids are born telling us what to do in every situation. We all learn by trial and error, and that's what this channel is all about. It's about using my system of correcting and connecting to build a strong, trusting, and influential relationship with your child. If that's the kind of thing you want to know more about, then like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends. Okay, now let's get back to the video. Number 3, finally, self-esteem is enhanced when our children learn to look inward at their own feelings about themselves and their behavior. I discuss this more in depth in my free ebook. But in short, as humans, we all have what we call self-evaluative thoughts and feelings. This is our own inner voice, and it's telling us how we feel about ourselves. Ignoring these natural feelings can lead to a lot of mental health challenges like depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. When we can help our kids learn to notice these naturally occurring feelings by asking them specific questions about how they feel about themselves for certain behaviors, whether it's positive or negative. Like when they overcome something hard, we can comment to them how it must feel so good to have done such and such, or how they must feel proud of themselves for all of that hard work. This is much more important for their self-esteem than just hearing our evaluations or hearing our praise. So remember, to recap, resilience comes from learning how to do hard things. This is actually the primary way that self-esteem is developed. Think about it. When you do something that requires work and effort and is very difficult, you will naturally feel proud of yourself for having done it. This internal sense of self-approval is a natural byproduct of our coping or facing things that are difficult. So if you make things easier for your kids, or if you solve problems for them, you are actually sabotaging the natural way that self-esteem is developed. In addition, if you try and solve the problems for them, you're just sending the message to your child they can't solve their own problems. They're not capable. So you're teaching them that they're actually incapable. This is such an important concept that I talk much more about this in my course, but suffice it to say that much of this has to do with requiring our children to do difficult things and pay attention to their own feelings. Hi, my name is Dr. Todd Corelli, and I've spent the last 25 years as a clinical psychologist working primarily with children, adolescents, young adults, and families. I have worked with thousands of families all around the world, and I've seen the challenges facing families today. That's why I've created the Correct and Connect system that helps parents become much more effective at bonding with and positively influencing their children. This system is completely unique and highly effective. I've seen this system benefit my own family and so many others, and I want your family to have this too. If you think that my experience and knowledge could be interesting or useful to your audience, then I would love to connect with you about sharing it with them. I'm available to be interviewed for podcasts, live streams, media broadcasts, written publications, or any other forms of relevant media. You can go to drtoddtalks.com and register your interest today, or you can just click the link in the video description below.